Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Showbie Learning Assembly. I'm Mr. Woolcock, and this is the fourth one of these I've done now, and as always, I've got some amazing learning to share with you all, so I hope you'll sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 20 minutes or so, where we have a dive into all of the wonderful things that Key Stage 2 have been doing in Showbie. Before I start with that, there's a couple of things I want to mention at the beginning of the assembly. Today is VE Day. It's a really, really important day in the history of our country and the history of the world. And it's the 75th anniversary of VE Day today. You've probably seen lots of stuff in the news and on the television about this today, and you've probably seen lots of bunting and balloons and colourful flags everywhere. And it's a really, really important day just to pause for a moment and just be grateful for all of the things that we have and the sacrifices that were made to give us those things. I'm hoping you will all take a moment today, whether it's watching Winston Churchill's speech at 3 o'clock, or the Queen later tonight, or the moments of silence at 11 o'clock this morning, just to take a moment to reflect on the sacrifice that was made for us to have what we have today, and to take part in those VE Day celebrations with your family and people around you. Now, we didn't have a Showbie assembly last week because we actually had something a bit different last Friday. And it seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? But last Friday we had a Beat Internet Legends assembly from Google and Parent Zone. In fact, we were the first school in the whole world to have that, which is quite cool. So, Penpol School, we were very lucky to lead the way with that. We had a great talk about being safe online. We talked about Interland and the different areas, being safe, being secure, being kind, and hopefully you've taken a few lessons from that. I just want to remind you all that every week on Showbie, it's usually on a Tuesday morning, I'm sharing some challenges to help you become Internet legends with your family. And these challenges differ from the lessons that we'll be doing in school about online safety, because they're activities designed to be done with your families. So it may be questions, it may be a game to play, but it's a way of starting a conversation between you and the adults in your home. So if you haven't looked at those yet, please do next week jump onto Showbie and have a look at the Internet Legend activities. I think you'll find them really interesting, and hopefully they'll be really helpful and beneficial to you now we're all spending so much time on the internet. Okay, so I'm going to jump straight into our Showbie learning for today. A reminder that at the end of the assembly you will see the challenge results from 2 weeks ago now, which was to create a piece of art based on the world outside. Maybe in nature, made by nature, something like that. We've got some lovely entries that I'll show you later, and I've got another challenge to keep you busy this week as well. So sit back, relax, and let's dive straight into Showbie. We'll start as always with Year 3, and I'll swipe through some of the learning and talk about it as we go. Quick note, it's amazing how many stories and pieces of written work are shared on Showbie. But because these can be quite long and quite wordy, there isn't always time to actually focus on them during the Showbie assemblies and read them out. But I would encourage all of you to have a look in your class's Hall of Fame, because there are some amazing pieces of writing being shared there at the moment, and I'm sure it'd be great to go and read them and get some inspiration from them. Right, so Year 3. First up we have Ada, and Ada has made a poem about victory in Europe, which is today. Victory in Europe Day is the day we all say hooray. Churchill gave us the best news ever. The war was now over forever and ever. On to happier times. Ringing bells chimed. Yippee. And Ada's made this beautiful bunting that looks like stained glass, doesn't it? The way it catches the light is wonderful. Really a poignant piece of work there, Ada. We've also got Lily, and Lily has done some research about her great-gran and VE Day. I'll put all of these pieces of learning up on the Penpol Times so you can read them all properly. But it's been fascinating to learn about Lily's great-gran. She's 99 this year. And I would really recommend you read this. She talks about the street party she had on VE Day and how wonderful that was. Now, in Year 3 they've been looking at rainforests this half term, and Oliver has made this wonderful card diorama of a rainforest. He's labelled it, the different layers, emergent layer, canopy, understory, and there are some wonderful creatures in that rainforest as well. I like the parrot up in the top corner. Oh, and he's put a can you spot look as well. Can you spot the frogs, the orangutan, the alligator? Amazing, Oliver. Have a look on the Penpol Times to see if you can spot those things. Ivy has done another diorama of the rainforest, and her one is multi-sided. On one side, you've got this lovely rainforest scene with the clouds made of cotton wool, which is wonderful. But on the other side, a slightly sadder take, where the rainforest is burning, and I guess perhaps deforestation and forest fires and destruction of rainforests and habitats is a really powerful message there, Ivy. It certainly makes you think that all of these wonderful things on one side can be destroyed just like that. Thank you for sharing that, Ivy. That's really powerful. Harry has done a really detailed diorama of his rainforest in Class 8. I'll zoom in a little bit, but just have a look at all of the detail on there. I think you'll need to on the Penpol Times for this one, because the more you look, the more wonderful things you find hiding in that piece of learning. Excellent. Okay, Alfie has done a mosaic of a parrot. I've never seen such a sparkly, colourful parrot, Alfie, but it is absolutely wonderful. He's called Robert. Good information to have. Look at that. Wonderful. There are some more mosaics to come from Year 5 later, so stay tuned for those. Imogen has done a wonderful poster on climate change with a really powerful message. She's got some images there of climate change in action and trees being chopped down. Really powerful again, Imogen, thank you. And Ethan has been doing some work on imaginary animals in French. So Ethan has taken different parts of animals, combined them together to make some really cool abstract creations, and then label them all in French as well, which is a lovely way of getting some languages learning into what he's doing. I think that might be an elephant, zebra, and maybe a donut? Excellent. Miles has been doing some research about food, and particularly where food comes from around the world. So he's been looking through his cupboards and his fridge, and he's found lots of different things and where they've come from. Sweet peppers have come from the Netherlands. The Swedes are grown in the UK. Onions grown in the UK, look. Spinach from Italy. Really interesting. If you haven't done this before, have a look at some of the food that you have in your fridge and just see how far away it's come from in the world. A lot of stuff is grown locally in this country, but it's always interesting to see how far things have travelled to get to your plate. Now, the other thing Year 3s have been doing this week is looking at what makes them special and the feelings that we have as individuals. So Flora here has done a really good picture of her brain, having different feelings. So we've got happy, we've got sad, scared, and angry. And she's talked about how her brain feels with each of those feelings. I particularly like the way she's chosen to have different types of writing and styles of writing for each one. So the scared writing is a bit scared. The angry writing is quite angry and angular. I think that's a really lovely piece of work, Flora. Well done. And Lily has done a picture all about herself and what she likes about herself, which I think is a really great activity to do. And she likes that she's good at art, and we can see that from her picture. I like that I wash up plates when I finish my food. What a great thing. I think this is a really, really fascinating piece of work, and it gives a great insight into Lily and what she likes about herself, and those qualities are wonderful. So Lily, thank you for sharing this. It's a really great piece of learning. Okay, straight on to Year 4. So in Year 4 they've been doing some fact files, and Elsie's been researching pandas and giant pandas. So first of all, really adorable picture there of a panda, Elsie. But then if we have a look over here, giant pandas grow to between 1.2 and 1.5 metres and weigh between 75 kilograms and 135 kilograms. Scientists aren't sure how long pandas live in the wild, but in captivity they live for about 30 years. The scientific name for a panda is a word that I'm not going to try and pronounce on an assembly because it's very long in Latin, but I would definitely recommend you have a look at that on Penpol Times. And apparently it means black and white cat. So there you go. Okay, Agnes has been looking at Australia and facts about Australia. I had to pick this piece of learning because look how much detail and time Agnes has put into this. She's got the animals that live in Australia, she's got the country and the actual cities and states in Australia, the Great Barrier Reef makes an appearance, and then she's got a really good fact file of population, capital cities, landmarks, all of these wonderful things. This is extraordinary, Agnes, and I'm so impressed with the amount of time you've taken on this. I'd love to know how long it took you, because that would take me absolutely hours. Okay, Leah has been looking at the River Nile and finding out some good information and facts about the River Nile. Did you know, for example, it is 4,160 miles long? Imagine that. If we were to drive from here to London, that's about 250 miles. So for that to be 4,000 miles, that is a very, very long way. Okay, Senan has also been looking at the Nile, and we've got some more really interesting facts here, but I particularly like this map of the Nile and the different parts of the world it passes through. So it passes through the different cities in Egypt, It has a lake called Lake Victoria that's part of it, and it's a really interesting piece of work there about the Nile. Do have a look on the Penpol Times and read that information because it's fascinating. Well done, Senan. Okay, Remy has been looking at the Amazon River, and if you look in the middle there, you can see the word Amazon in that glitter paint. And again, we've got some really good facts here, but what catches my eye straight away, and I'm sure it does for you as well, is the artwork that Remy has gone for. The beautiful colours. Is that watercolour maybe, Remy? I'm not sure, but it looks really eye-catching. And you've got a really nice set of colours there. The colour palette really makes you think of the rainforest. Well done, Remy. Okay, Keris has done a piece of art using what she's found outside. And she's made this really lovely forest scene with trees, but the trees are made out of actual trees, which is great. And I love the plants at the bottom, which she's made out of little flowers that she's found. Great piece of learning, Keris. Okay, Zach has been researching Spain, and landmarks in Spain, what Spain's famous for, and loads of key facts about Spain. Now, Zach has actually put like a 6-page presentation up on Showbie, and I can't fit it all on here, but these are 2 pages which are really interesting, which feature some of the landmarks, which you can see there, and some of the things that Spain is famous for. For example, the flamenco dancing, the football, the siesta. All of those things make Spain the country that it is. It's a really detailed piece of research, and I'm really impressed with that, Zach. Well done. Okay, let's have a look at Year 5 and what they've been doing. Now, I mentioned earlier that there were some mosaics still to come, and I've got to be honest, in Year 5 I've chosen a lot of mosaics because they are really exciting and really lovely to look at. They've been looking at the Greeks for the last few weeks, and the challenge was to make a mosaic based on something to do with ancient Greece, because the Greeks are very famous for their mosaics. So I'm going to swipe through these fairly quickly because there's a lot of them, but they are really, really wonderful. So well done, Year 5, for this challenge. So first up we've got Lucy, and Lucy has done this really, really detailed mosaic, loads of lovely colours and shapes, and the attention to detail there, Lucy, the way you've managed to keep everything inside the lines makes it really neat and really eye-catching. Sam has made a mosaic of a fish, really beautiful, vibrant colours, the pinks, the yellows, the blues, and then the fish itself being in this glittery card really makes it pop out of the page. Lovely stuff, Sam. Edie has made a Greek temple, and look at the detail in that. That must have taken you a long time, Edie, to cut all of those little squares out, but isn't it worth it? It is wonderful. Alex has made a Greek pot, and we've got different shapes, different colours, and you can see exactly what sort of pot that would have been in Greek times. Great work, Alex. Reese has made a shield for a Greek warrior going to war, perhaps, or defending his home. And we've got a really nice bold pattern there on that shield. Really great. Harry has made a boat. And again, look at the attention to detail and the care that's been taken over this. It looks, I'm not sure, but it looks like you've painted those squares before you've cut them out. And that gives it a really nice texture, doesn't it? Rather than just pieces of coloured paper, you've actually painted them first. So, Harry, well done. And Tom has done this beautiful tree. Again, detail, care, precision, all of those things to make that mosaic work. And it does look so, so good, Tom. And Finton, I think this is the last mosaic I've chosen, but I love this one because of the pattern paper you've chosen. It is absolutely striking, and the colours go so well together. Really, really love that, Finton. Well done, and thank you for sharing. No, there's more. There's more mosaics. This is Ivan's boat. Have a look at the tissue paper on this and the way the colours overlap to make that depth come out. Really lovely, Ivan. And again, you put a lot of time and work into that, and it really shows. So thank you for sharing a beautiful mosaic. Okay, moving on from mosaics to something else to do with the ancient Greeks. And Toby has been looking at the different Greek words that were set by the teachers and trying to work out what they mean and what they are. So, we could have a look here. And for example, the word Sparta was an old city-state in Greece. Pankration was a Greek martial art. I didn't know that, Toby. Thank you for telling me that. We've got the temples, we've got the gods, we've got loads of really interesting facts there. Brilliant, Toby. Well done. And Isla has done this amazing self-portrait. I picked this one just because it's so striking and the colours are really lovely. I don't know, Isla, if you have dyed your hair blue at the moment, but if you have it, so it's a good look, and it's really vibrant, this picture. You really can see a connection with the eyes when you look at it. Well done, it's really, really good. Okay, on to Year 6 now. And in the chapter of the book they're reading, they're looking at the voyage of the Peggy Sue, which was a boat. And they're trying to find Michael, who's gone missing. So Maisie has made a missing person poster. Really good detail that she's picked out of the story to add some information to that poster. And a really eye-catching design. You can imagine seeing that and having your attention drawn to it straight away, which is what you want for a poster of this kind. Izzy has been looking at the journey that the Peggy Sue boat took. And the Peggy Sue went right the way around the world. And Izzy has marked all the different countries and ports that the Peggy Sue visited, right down the coast of Africa and right along to Australia. That's quite a long journey, isn't it? It's very, very impressive. Okay, Ronnie has been doing a fact file on Mary Anning. Now, a lot of you will recognise that name, Mary Anning, because in Year 3 we learned a lot about her for her work she did finding fossils. And Ronnie has taken that research even further by finding out more information about Mary Anning. Again, I'm not going to read it all now, there isn't simply time on the assembly as much as I'd love to, but do have a look on the Penpol Times and read through this, particularly if you've been looking at Mary Anning in Year 3 this year, because this gives a lot more information which you might find really interesting. Okay, Eva has been doing a fact file as well, this time on Charles Darwin. And again, Charles Darwin is a name that we probably recognise, but we may not necessarily know why or what he was famous for. So again, I would really encourage you to have a look at this. It talks about the awards he won, the children he had, and what he was famous for. So jump on the Penpol Times, have a look at Eva's fact file on Charles Darwin. Summer has been doing a fact file as well, this time on rock pools around the world. And Summer's been looking at different animals and creatures that live in rock pools in different parts of our world. We've got sea urchins, we've got moon jellyfish, we've got hermit crabs, starfish, shrimps. This is a really, really interesting piece of learning, and it's particularly interesting for the facts that Summer has found. If you have a look on the Penpol Times, you can read this all. But did you know, for example, that shrimp can clone themselves by shedding their skin? I had no idea. Did you know that most starfish have 5 arms, but some can go up to 50? I had no idea. This whole page is full of facts that I've learned, and Summer, you have taught me a huge amount this afternoon, so thank you for that. Next up we have Harry, and Harry has been researching the goggle-eyed rock goby. I've probably said that completely wrong, but we'll see. And this is also known as the mud skipper. It's up to 12 centimetres long, and young fish are much more common than the adult variety. Really interesting facts. And this has been done as part of a project that the children are working on with Surfers Against Sewage. And if you haven't heard about this yet, ask your teacher, because Surfers Against Sewage are doing lessons, I think it's twice a week, all about the sea around us and our beaches and what we can do to protect and look after those wonderful resources. Harry's is a great piece of work and a great example of how you've learnt about our local area. Okay, in Year 6 they've been looking at fossils. We talked about Mary Anning earlier, and some of the children actually made their own fossils. This is one that Jasmine's made. So she's made like a floury dough and then she's pressed in different objects into that to make the fossils. I've seen quite a few of these in Year 6, but Jasmine, this is a really good example. And another really good example is Brodie's one here. And again, you can probably work out what animal that was by what Brodie's pressed into that fossil. Okay, Maisie has been doing more work about our local beaches and our environment and looking at plastic. A lot of talk at the moment about plastic and how wasteful we can be with plastic and how we ought to be recycling and reusing things a lot more, and this poster is a really good reminder of that. Plastic can now be found on every single beach in the world. That's a really sad fact, that even around the most remote parts of the world, there's still plastic washed up on the beach. So it's really something to think about, and jump on the Penpol Times and have a look at that poster because it's really powerful, and Maisie, you've done a great job there. Okay, Luke has made an invention to help with this problem. This is an invention to go underwater and to collect the plastic. So it's got storage to keep the plastic in, it can push the pure water out the other side, and it's going to look through a camera to work out where to go to pick up the most plastic. Luke, this is so inventive. I absolutely love this, and I can completely see this being an invention in the future which people use all over the world. Well done. Imogen has done a poster about saving our oceans, and this one caught my eye because, well, look at it. It is so vibrant and so bold, and it's rare that you see a poster on a black background, but the way you've done it with the colours, it's like the neon light shining out, and it is really, really effective, Imogen, so thank you for sharing that. And last up from Showbie this week, we have Rocky. And we started with VE Day poem and some bunting, and we're going to finish with Rocky's VE Day light jar. A really beautiful and poignant image made by using a candle in a jar and then some silhouette cutouts. I think this Rocky is a really, really lovely thing, and I hope you put that in the window today so people can see it as they're out on their walks. Okay, so that's the end of our Showbie work that I've saved to show you this week. But there's so much more happening on Showbie, and right across the school as well. So do have a look on the Penpol Times, particularly if you want to have a look at some of the Key Stage 1 and Reception Years learning, because they're doing some really wonderful learning as well. We don't have time to show it all on Showbie assemblies because it would be just so long, but please do have a look on the Penpol Times. The teachers are posting a weekly update of all of the great and exciting things that those children are doing as well. Now, last week I set you a challenge, not last week, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago I set you a challenge to make a piece of art based on things that you find in nature and inspired by a walk or a run that you've been on in the outdoors recently. And there have been some amazing pieces of artwork submitted. I'm going to show you a slideshow of all of them now, but I also want to point out the soundtrack to this slideshow. So this is soundtracked by Eloise in Class 12, who has written and recorded a song all about the coronavirus. But the soundtrack and the music and the lyrics are so moving and so powerful that I felt like I had to play the whole song. So I've combined that with the nature, and hopefully you can sit back for the next minute and a half and enjoy some of the artwork that's been shared.
First day of quarantine with Josephine makes us want to scream. Second day of isolation is affecting all the nation. This virus creation. Corona, coronavirus. Coronavirus. Third day of this boring thing, feel like I'm snoring. Makes me wanna scream. Coronavirus. Coronavirus.
Okay, well done Eloise for that soundtrack, and well done and thank you for everyone who shared their artwork. I've got one last thing that I wanted to show you before I announce the next challenge for the next week. And I want to show you something that Leo in Class 10 has made himself. I don't know if this was a challenge that was set by the teacher, or if he did this by himself, but Leo has made a vending machine for sweets made out of Lego. Lego, sweets, two of my pretty favourite things really, combined into one object, and Leo has made a video explaining how it works. So have a little look at this. I'm sure you'll be as impressed as I was, and well done, Leo.
So we put it in.
So you put the sweet in the top.
Yeah. Put the thing over it.
Okay.
Then you push this back, pull it out, and the sweet comes down there.
That's amazing.
And your money comes out there.
Okay, so that's the end of our Showbie Learning Assembly. Hang on, no, wait. I haven't set your challenge. Right, this week you have got a challenge that's based around VE Day and based around all of the celebrations and memories that are happening today. I would like you to make and then send me on Showbie using this class code a poppy. Doesn't matter what you make it with. You could find tomato sauce and You could make a poppy out of tomato sauce and then crunch some pepper in the middle. You could make a poppy out of t-shirts that you make into the shape of poppy leaves and poppy flowers. You could make a poppy out of collage and paper. You could draw it on the computer, whatever you want to do. But I would just want to see as many poppies as I can. And next week we will share these poppies on our assembly, and it'll be a really nice way just to keep that feeling from today going for a little bit longer. So if you've got a minute or two, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, make a poppy out of something, anything you can. Bonus points for imaginative things, so things that you perhaps wouldn't normally use to make a poppy. Okay, that's the end of my assembly today. I believe in a minute or two, BBC are going to be showing Winston Churchill's speech that he made 75 years ago to this day, all about the end of the war in Europe. So if you're interested in that, I would certainly recommend you watch that. And if not, I hope you're enjoying your Bank Holiday Friday. Hope you have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you all on Showbie on Monday morning. Take care, see you next week.